Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 0048 of Gary's Glorious Golden Nuggets. And today we have Steve Greenhalgh, who is the creator of StuckinaTruck, which is a wonderful online video series that I highly recommend people watch.
Your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And I've lived by them. And if you're going to invest your life and times into making $100, 10x it. Because if you fail, you'll still be further forward. Just go big.
And there's nothing if at first it isn't a dream. I mean, everything starts there. What advice would you give somebody who's relatively new into this digital world, this world of being an online entrepreneur? What advice would you give to somebody who's just beginning this journey?
I think first and foremost, never compare yourself to anybody else. Comparison is so corrosive. I've worked with people at all stages of this going forward. I work with people that have been online for 6 weeks and have sales. I've worked with people that have been online for 6 years and are still, in fact, a call yesterday, a lady that I've been working with for 5 years said, I found it and I thought, oh yeah, great, what? I've got my domain name and I absolutely love it. And I'm thinking, that's great, Mildred, that's absolutely fabulous, so pleased. Now, if she was looking around and watching what everybody else was doing, she would stop it dead because she would think she's not. Her journey's just different. And wherever you are, whoever you are, I mean, there's a whole host of stuff. Be teachable, be keen, never stop asking questions, always do your research, blah, 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 blah. The most important thing is don't look at what other people are doing. It's none of your business what they're doing, and it has no impact on what you're doing. Simple.
It's really simple. Now, you mentioned one of your mentors was Stuart Ross.
Yeah.
Can you name a couple other people who've been great resources that have helped you along your journey?
Number one, my father. Because I think the fruit never falls far from the tree. And this is one of the things, this epitomises my dad. He was a research chemist from very humble beginnings. Dear Dr. Greenhalgh, let me introduce myself. I'm the man who lost 83,500 Japanese yen at Hong Kong Hilton sometime on June 22nd, 1972. I missed the money at the airport in Hong Kong on my way to Tokyo. And while I notified the hotel, I had very little hope of recovering the money. It is wonderful to know that there are still honest men in this world, and I don't really know how I can ever reciprocate. And my dad found the money outside the hotel, picked it up. That could have paid his mortgage. He'd have been debt-free, and he could have just slotted it in his pocket, and nobody would have known that he would. And he turned around and he went back to the hotel reception, spoke to the general manager and said, look, somebody's going to ask you about this. I've just found it on the staff. This is who I am. Left a business card. Never thought it worked. They were friends for life. And that level of integrity, that level of truth and honesty, some people would say it got me into a lot of trouble because I call a spade a spade. I tell it how I see it. I don't blow smoke at people's skirts and make them feel good. I want them to feel good, but I want them to know the truth, which is the whole thing about when you come online, sitting there wishing for it ain't going to cut it. The very old maxim, no bees, no honey, no work, no money. Another person who was a massive influence on me after Stuart was a guy called John Jackson, JJ, who helped me to define my purpose. And my purpose is to recognise the value in others so that they can happily dance knowing that they matter. Right, I'll let that one sit with you. I'll say it again. My purpose is to recognise the value in others so that they can happily dance in the knowing that they matter. When John Jackson read that out to me, and I'd spent an awful lot of money to hear that sentence, I have to say I was lemon impressed. I meant to do with that. Go hug a tree, help people to hug trees, worship grass. What? Seriously, JJ, what do I do with that? And he said, go home, look at your life through that lens. Do the people in your life know that you value them? And the simple truth is, no, she didn't. My wife had put up with me for 30 years at that point. And changing that, number one, she didn't recognise me and said, okay, you're not Steve Greenhalgh, give me back my husband. Because I wasn't demanding her to make me happy. That was my fault. Like, if I'm not happy, that's my fault. It's not her job, and my job isn't to make her happy. She needs to know that I value pleasure and that she has value. And the dancing, we just started as we were going through the why process, and JJ got it, and then we went back to refine it. And the dancing part came because Judy has always loved dancing. And at that point, I was 154 pounds, which is 11 and a half stone, maybe 70 kilos heavier than I am now. And she wanted to go dancing. And we loved rock and roll music. And I would stand there and virtually be a maypole, and she'd jig and dance around me. And I felt an absolute prune, but it mattered to me that she was happy and had value. So we did it. And we now are really good. The more weight I've lost, the quicker on my feet I've become. We dance whenever we can because I recognised her value, and that saved my marriage. Seriously.